So I've said it a few times, and it's one of those mantras that I'm going to stick with. Hear it from your father. And as a father, I can't co-sign on that sentiment anymore than I already do. The thing about hearing it from your father, because a lot of people grow up in their homes where it's primarily with their mother, father's gone, or whatever, and we don't know the truth. And the other part of it is what what we're often told, or what children are often told, is coming from the feelings and the failings a lot of the times from adult to adult. It does not mean that that father or that man was bad to their children, but when it goes adult to adult, then somehow this person often equates that to that and tries to eliminate them from the picture. I've seen it happen, and it's a bad place to be at for a lot of men because they love their children, and just because things didn't work out with the mother, then it becomes that. Now, am I saying that all men are victims of this? No, not absolutely not. There's a lot of men who do a lot of wicked things to their families, and they deserve to be kind of ousted or put in a position where they need to be, you know, I guess, removed until they can do better. Um, where I'm going with this is there's a young lady at my job, shout out to her, and she was asking me some questions about me and things like that. And then I had asked her if she talks to her dad, and she just kind of got quiet. She said, no, he's never been around, sort of thing. And but she seemed to know enough about him and why he was gone. And I said, you need to hear it from your father. And she knew that she did. And even though she offered up some reasons, I said, what you're telling me is what some other adult had told you. Who would benefit by telling you something like that? And it's most of the time it's the mother. And this is not a slam against mothers, but when you have a split, and if the child is with the mother, then it's parent against parent's word. And sometimes the man being absent does not mean that he left just because he felt like leaving. A lot of times it's parental alienation. Children are used against the other parent. Sometimes the legal system is used against the other parent. You can do this in a lot of different ways. And again, I've seen it happen, and I've seen it attempted. Um, so my thing was, you need to talk to him. Well, he's not in the picture. He's got, I said, how long ago was that? This is almost a 20-year-old young lady. Well, this is when I remember, I think he was around when I was like 2. I said, he's had a lot of time to grow. And so you got to give him that grace to see how that might work out, because she's curious. You can see she needs that male influence in her life. And there's nothing wrong with that. Children deserve, by birthright, they deserve to have both parents in their lives. It's not for one parent to make up their mind to say, well, I don't want to be with that person anymore, so now I'm going to remove them. That's not how that works. That's not how that works, and it never should have worked that way unless the child is in real danger. It shouldn't work that way. So what I had said is, again, you need to hear from your father. And she asked, well, what if I get in touch with him and the answer is he still doesn't want to be around? I said, then you got your answer from him. But right now you're believing somebody who is already in the picture. You're believing somebody who, what do they have to lose by telling you something about a man who's not around? That he didn't want to be there. That's not always true. A lot of times the men just don't want to be around the mother. A lot of times the mother doesn't want to be around the man, and they confuse what is spousal versus what is parental. And the other thing that I had mentioned to her is, I said, you as a child, don't judge your father off of what your mother says, because what that does is you're judging him as if you were on that level as an adult in an intimate relationship. You have no idea what was said between the two of them. And your mother may not, I don't think she's lying. I don't think that all women are just outright lying when it comes to that. But you see it from your perspective. You see it from man and woman. We see things differently. We are wired differently, and so therefore those results in our minds will play out differently. Just like if the tables were turned and the father had custody of the child, what he might say would be different. So somewhere in the middle always lies the truth. And she, to her admission, she said, "I don't always believe what my mom says when it comes to that." So she knows, and a lot of us do. So this is why I say, hear it from your father. That's part one. Part two is then go ask your mother. Because if that man was still able to be around and he was pushed out of the picture or had to jump through hoops legally to do so, then, I would say I would do it, and I have done it. But for a lot of men, they may not either have the resources or just the mental capacity to deal with such such a setup. And that's a hard place to be, and that's where you see a lot of depression. This is where you possibly see that higher rate of ending life by men. When you have something like your children taken from you, is it just possible that you've taken the most important thing to them, something that they love more than anything else? This is something people really have to think of. And when I say people, I'm talking about court systems, I'm talking about social workers, I'm talking about courts, things like that. This is something that people really need to think about, because when you're talking about two people and one of them is jaded and hurt, or both of them are jaded and hurt, there has to be a governing body, if that's the case, that's going to think logically for them, not just reward one side just because. Now, there's reasons why I'm sure children historically have been, with the mother, but just like we're seeing a lot of changes in other areas, when we're talking about equal rights and things like that, balancing out for people, whether it's gay, straight, Muslim, Christian, black, white, male, female, parenting has to balance out as well. And men have to get a fair shake in court. Men have to be able to say, I can be the one that raises my child and not have to worry about having my child support taken to the point where I can't even have a livable lifestyle comfortable enough to be able to say, now I can introduce my child into a home of my own. It's a ridiculous notion. But we can always back it all the way up and just say, ladies, make sure that this is the person that you want to have kids with. Guys, make sure this is a person you want to have kids with before you just start sticking it in and doing whatever it is that gets done. We know what causes pregnancy and childbirth and all that stuff. So what are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on hearing it from your father? If you can hear it from your mother, her side of the story, then you deserve to hear it from your father. I don't care what that man did. If it was more than 2 years ago, if it was like, if somebody has enough time to clean their life up and turn it around, then give the possibility that that's where that man is at right now. But if you get there and you find out that that man or that mother is still doing the same things that they were doing before, then okay, you have your answer. But you deserve to hear it from both of them. But in this case, for that young lady, hear it from your father. Guys, ace up the sleeve, advice, comment, experience. These kind of talks are crucial. So if you're still watching this, leave a comment, because a lot of you have been through this on one side or the other. Leave a comment. Somebody may read it and it's important to them. I can speak so many words, but when you start seeing other people having a discussion about this, it's important. Hit the like, dislike, won't be mad at you. And I'm going to leave it at that. Hopefully this finds everybody in a place, pursuit, or beginnings of total health, mind, body, and soul. Peace, love, unity, solidarity.